Peas and my peeps, I'm Burst Shot Del and this is the Bundlebuss Showcase. Now, despite me saying that I've got a bit bored of Fortnite lately, and I have in many respects, I couldn't help but resist to give this cheeky little number a go. So I managed to scrape together the gold in time and get my hands on one of these. Quite an interesting gun. There's nothing else really like it in many respects in Fortnite at the moment. A couple of points to bear in mind are that this is a light ammunition assault rifle. So that's the massive benefit, and particularly as it does, as far as I'm aware, the highest damage per light ammunition round in the assault rifle class. And it's also got a decent headshot multiplier. It's got a decent crit chance, like the base crit chance of 15% is pretty decent. Most of the assault rifles are at 10%. Crit damage is up as well. Normally they're at 50, this is at 75. The fire rate's reasonable at 6.48, but bear in mind this is a burst shot assault rifle, so although it's 6.48 per second, you are going to be limited to the actual burst itself. What I wanted to do was actually compare this one. Now, an obvious comparable might be the Lynx. The reason being, the damage is around about the same. It's slightly down on crit. Fire rate is fairly similar. Magazine size, bit down on range there. Reload time, negligible difference, and the same with impact there. But there is a big difference between these two. Now, first of all, you'll notice the DPS is up on the Bundlebuss. So they're both burst shot assaults, but this Lynx here uses medium ammo as opposed to the light ammo on the Bundlebuss. So in many respects, I think it's an advantage to be a light ammo assault rifle because there's not that many to pick from that are that great. The Siege Breaker is the obvious sort of go-to light ammo assault, but it doesn't do anywhere near as much damage per round. So, in a sense, I thought it might make a little bit more sense to actually look at it compared to the Hacksaw. Now, reason being, the Hacksaw for me is probably the best light ammunition assault rifle in the game. It doesn't do quite as much damage per round, and it's significantly down on headshot damage. So the headshot multiplier on the Hacksaw is nowhere near as good. It is up on DPS, but if you bear into the equation the headshot damage that you're going to be getting, it's highly likely that you can actually hit higher DPS numbers with the Bundlebuss than you can the Hacksaw. Whether it's better or not than the Hacksaw, I don't know yet. I'm going to take this one into the field and just see how she fares up. Right, so before we get started, I just want to show you the damage. So now that I'm in game, you can see my damage has dropped from 1,300 a shot to 229. Now, the reason for that being, my level, as you can see in the top left there, I'm level 100. However, because I'm playing on a level 23 map, it's massively nerfing my damage multiplier. It's doing some pretty decent damage there. Now, you may have noticed already that you look at my ammunition there, so I'm at 32 rounds at the moment, and if I fire once, I am down to 24. So it's actually firing 8 rounds at a time in the burst, which that's a huge burst. There's pros and cons to that. So obviously, if it's doing 8 and you're shooting at a low level, it's kind of wasting ammo because a lot of it's just going to go straight through. But because it's such a long burst, I can actually move the direction of my fire mid-burst. So for example, if I shoot that guy, I can quickly move on to the other one and kill them both without wasting ammunition. On the downside though, although it's a 32 round magazine, it does kind of mean that this gun is only going to be capable of firing 4 shots at a time before you need a reload. So although an assault rifle, you know, it would just kind of tear through this mob, most of those assault rifles that have got that sort of level of power are medium ammo assault rifles. It's got a decent amount of damage to it. Now bear in mind, I haven't got any perks activated on this gun. So I'm running it at level 20 or, you know, level 1 star. If you're wondering why I'm doing this, by the way, I mean, it's purely born out of the fact that it takes so long to farm XP that it just doesn't make sense to, if I'm testing a gun out just to see how it fares up, the first protocol is just to compare its stats to other guns that I've used extensively, and I know whether or not they're decent guns. So that gives me a sort of baseline to compare it against. But then, beyond that, you don't really want to be activating the perks. If you're just looking at this gun as, you know, its base value, how good is it, you don't really want all the perks activated when you're sort of testing a gun out. The reason being, the perks are obviously going to improve the gun, but you can pick whatever perks you want now. So depending on the build that you go for, it's going to change things accordingly. So if you're all about reload speed and fire rate, then you know that's going to be a very different gun to than if you just went with pure flat damage or even crit damage on something like this. I think personally for me, generally speaking, I tend to go with damage, flat damage and crit damage over anything else. There's certain guns that benefit massively from reload speed perks. There's certain guns that massively benefit from magazine size. Now it tends to be if they've got a very long reload speed, it makes sense to put the buff itself on reload. It's percentage based, so it will give you a higher sort of gain than anything else. So if it's a very quick reload speed, it's not going to give you much of a gain. You improve it, and if it's very bad, it will give you, you know, a significant, a very notable gain. And the same with magazine size. So if you're running around with a machine gun or something like that, it kind of makes sense to up the ammunition size, purely because you're going to get a massive benefit from that. You're going to get a huge additional amount of ammunition. But saying that, guns with very large magazine sizes tend to have very slow reload speed. Anyway, getting back to the Bundlebuss, have to say, quite enjoying playing with this one. If I'm honest, I generally would pick a full auto over a burst shot assault rifle. Prefer the control that you get over them. They obviously, you know, have a bit more recoil to them. And one of the nice things about this is you can, because it's an 8 rounds burst, you can get quite a significant amount of damage off before you need to fire again. So I think, you know, if you perked it up and it was in an appropriately leveled map, you'd probably two-shot the laser eyes. At the moment, I think I'm sort of free hitting them, even with headshots in there. But with 1 damage perk, that's going to turn it into a 2-shot engagement. Got a cheeky little taker here, so I thought I might as well have a pop on him. Oh, that was nice. See, I mean, that only took 2 shots. So I must have crit on a few of those shots, but what you want... Flying dickheads. Ah! Okay, that didn't go quite as well as the last one. Look at these fellas, they are not happy, are they? I mean, it's an interesting one to play with. I don't think it's brilliant. Oh, see, that was the hit of the hole fruit there. That did land some headshots, and that did do a fair old chunk of damage. Liking that a lot. I think that is a good point to bear in mind. The headshot multiplier, although it's a lot higher on this gun than it is on something like the hacksaw, it's not much use, is it, in situations where you've got tightly packed mobs. So a gun like this, where you're kind of reliant on the headshot multiplier, isn't going to be very good in those sort of situations, or any situations where you're missing headshots, for that matter. Which is probably about 50% of my shots fired, and that's being generous. So to be honest with you, I have enjoyed playing with it, but I don't think it's a gun that I'll be leveling up and pursuing. I mean, if you haven't got any decent assault rifles already and you want something with a bit of range on it, or maybe you just want to play something a little bit differently, then it is probably worth having a look at. But as a primary assault, given the other options that are available, it's not for me. Always wonder, can you just jump straight down there? In fact, let's try. Oh, he's done it! He's only bloody done it. Anyway, back to the Bundlebuss. So there you go, guys. You know, it'd be interesting to see if you've managed to unlock this one and you've played as it yourself. Drop me a comment below and let me know what you thought of this. But as I say, for me, it's kind of a bit of a mediocre one. A bit of a niche weapon. I do like the range on it, but other than that, it's kind of, you know, it's not going to be a first choice option for me in the assault rifle class. I think personally, for me, I'll stick to my Gravedigger in my secondary slot, as my tank killing option and my sort of mist monster, laser eyes killer, that kind of thing. If I didn't have a Gravedigger, I'd go for something like the hacksaw. Another special event weapon, so you might not have that one either. Or even the siege breaker. I prefer the overall user-friendly nature of the siege breaker. So there we go, guys, the Bundlebuss. I think it's, you know, it's an interesting one, and I'd like to know what you guys think. So if you did unlock this one and you've been playing with it and you've had some success with it, drop me a comment below and let me know what you thought about it. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, GG, well played, and laters fam, laters.